Shad Helmstetter opens his book with a simple but powerful premise: the most important conversations we ever have are the ones we have with ourselves. These internal dialogues, often automatic and unnoticed, shape our self-image, our habits, and ultimately our success. He paints a vivid picture of a person going through life, listening to a constant stream of negative self-talk, and slowly being convinced that failure, limitation, and frustration are their inevitable companions. Helmstetter's insight is clear: if you change the way you talk to yourself, you change your life. He begins by illustrating how deeply our inner language affects us. From childhood, we are conditioned by words spoken by parents, teachers, and peers. These statements, whether praising or critical, form a mental script that governs our self-perception. He likens the mind to a tape recorder, replaying these messages endlessly. The narrative walks you through the realization that much of what we think of as our true self is actually a collection of learned phrases and opinions we accepted without question. Helmstetter emphasizes the critical role of awareness. You cannot change your internal dialogue unless you first notice it. He invites readers to begin listening closely to their thoughts as if eavesdropping on someone else. The book tells the story of a man who, when he begins observing his self-talk, discovers that for every constructive thought, there are 5 or 6 negative ones undermining him. This simple act of noticing begins the process of breaking free from destructive patterns. Once awareness is established, Helmstetter presents the concept of self-talk programming. He compares it to training a computer: if you feed the wrong commands, the machine will malfunction; if you feed correct instructions, it will perform optimally. He recounts the transformation of individuals who consciously replaced negative thoughts with constructive statements, showing that repeated, intentional self-talk gradually rewires the brain. The narrative makes it clear that this is not a one-time fix, but a disciplined, daily practice. He then introduces the different levels of self-talk, from negative and destructive statements to positive affirmations. Destructive self-talk manifests as doubt, fear, and criticism, often so subtle that we barely recognize it. Helmstetter tells the story of a young professional who constantly muttered, "I'm not good enough," which kept him from applying for promotions. By shifting these statements to proactive, affirming ones, the man experienced a noticeable change in confidence and opportunity. The book stresses that self-talk must be specific and personal. Generic affirmations like, "I am successful," often fail because the brain doesn't fully register them. Helmstetter illustrates this with a story of a student trying to improve his grades. He achieves greater impact when he repeats precise statements such as, "I understand the material in my algebra class and can solve problems accurately." The clarity and personalization make the mind more receptive and the practice more effective. Repetition is central to Helmstetter's method. He compares self-talk to planting seeds in a garden. The same seeds, planted consistently, grow strong roots over time. The narrative shares the journey of a woman struggling with weight issues, who uses repetitive affirmations about making healthy choices and exercising regularly. Over months, her mental patterns shift, and she begins taking real, consistent actions aligned with her affirmations. Helmstetter also explores the emotional component of self-talk. Simply saying words is not enough, you must connect with them emotionally. He tells the story of a man trying to overcome fear of public speaking. By pairing self-talk statements with feelings of confidence, excitement, and preparedness, he not only changed his mental narrative but also experienced physiological changes: steady breathing, calmer nerves, and a more confident posture. Emotion gives words their power. The author addresses the challenge of skepticism and resistance. At first, many readers may find the exercises strange or feel foolish speaking to themselves. Helmstetter shares anecdotes of his clients who initially resisted the practice, only to find that persistence brought real, tangible changes. These stories reassure readers that doubt is natural but not a barrier to success, and the payoff comes from sustained effort and belief in the process. He delves into practical strategies for integrating self-talk into daily life. This includes writing affirmations on index cards, repeating them in the mirror, recording and listening to them, or even mentally rehearsing them throughout the day. One story follows a business executive who used recorded affirmations during his commute. Within weeks, he noticed subtle shifts in decision-making, self-confidence, and leadership presence, demonstrating that the method can be seamlessly woven into ordinary routines. Helmstetter emphasizes that the self-talk process is not about denial or false optimism. It is about aligning your mental dialogue with your goals, values, and potential. He contrasts destructive patterns, focusing on failure, setbacks, and inadequacies, with constructive self-talk that acknowledges reality while emphasizing growth and possibility. A narrative about an athlete illustrates this. Instead of obsessing over missed shots, he focused on affirming his skills and preparation, resulting in measurable improvement in performance. The book also covers overcoming deeply ingrained negative patterns. Helmstetter shares stories of individuals who had carried self-doubt for decades. He demonstrates that change is possible even in entrenched patterns, using the metaphor of reprogramming a tape and providing step-by-step approaches for replacing old tapes with new, empowering ones. These examples inspire hope, showing that transformation is possible at any stage of life. Helmstetter integrates lessons on accountability and consistency. The narrative depicts people who initially struggle with routine but eventually establish a rhythm for self-talk. Daily commitment, even for a few minutes, becomes a foundation for lasting change. The story of a busy parent balancing work and personal growth shows that self-talk can be adapted to fit any schedule, reinforcing the idea that the practice is accessible and flexible. He further explores the ripple effects of improved self-talk. Once a person begins talking positively to themselves, the change spreads to behavior, relationships, and achievements. A young entrepreneur's story demonstrates this beautifully. By transforming his internal dialogue, he not only improved self-confidence but also inspired trust in clients and colleagues, proving that internal change manifests externally. Finally, Helmstetter concludes by framing self-talk as a lifelong tool for growth and fulfillment. The book's stories culminate in individuals who have rewritten their mental scripts, showing resilience, achievement, and happiness. The overarching message is clear: self-talk is not just a technique but a philosophy of empowerment. By choosing words carefully, repeating them with intention, and aligning them with action, anyone can reshape their life from the inside out. In essence, What to Say When You Talk to Yourself is more than a book about positive thinking. It is a practical, actionable guide that combines science, psychology, and personal stories to teach readers how to harness the power of internal dialogue.